Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to a super amazing lecture on the most important and the highly scoring chapter, which has the maximum weightage from your entire botany question paper or your entire biology plant physiology unit. That is photosynthesis in higher plants. Yes, and today it's a special lecture for class 11th, lecture number 1 on the early experiments of photosynthesis, the part number 1 on this very important chapter. So let's discuss one by one about this chapter and then let's move on to today's class. So there are a few subtopics in this chapter which you must understand first of all, because for the NEET exam questions have came from all these 9 parts with different high weightages. So it consists of 9 different subtopics. It consists of 9 different subtopics from where the questions can be asked. That is, first one is the early experiments. Second one is where does photosynthesis takes place? That is about the structure of chloroplast and about the pigments involved in the process of photosynthesis, about the light reaction, that is a splitting up of water and the production of ATP, NADPH molecule. The electron transport, where are the ATP and NADPH synthesized? And you have to study about the C4 pathway, photorespiration, and the factors affecting photosynthesis are the major 9 topics that have been included in this chapter. So once again, early experiments, cytophotosynthesis, pigments involved in the process of photosynthesis, light reaction, dark reaction, electron transport, chemiosmotic hypothesis, about that you have to study, C4 pathway, photorespiration, and the factors affecting the process of photosynthesis are the 9 important topics that you have to study in this chapter. This is the chapter-wise photosynthesis and higher plant subtopic-wise analysis of the last 8 years of NEET or AIPMT question paper. Okay. So by looking at this analysis, I'll provide the PDF in the Telegram group. So you'll have a closer look on the topics from where the questions have been greatly asked. Here it's very prominent. Questions have been mainly asked from 2 areas, that is pigments involved in photosynthesis 22% and C4 pathway, it is 29% photosynthesis chapter. So that's about this analysis of this chapter. You can have a look while you study. So the early experiments, 14% weightage for the today's topic or today's class. So this is the rank boosters test on transport in plants and mineral nutrition. The first 2 most important chapters of plant physiology. So stay tuned. December 3rd, you will have the question getting posted in the Telegram group. Okay, so the rank booster test, transport in plants along with the mineral nutrition will be done on 3rd of December. 90 questions will be there. Okay, so stay prepared for the same. So let's get started with today's class, that is photosynthesis, and today's topic is about the early experiments associated with photosynthesis. So from the lower class onwards, this term is a familiar and a common term for all of us, that is photosynthesis. Whenever you think about photosynthesis, the term that comes to your mind is about the plants. That is another term, you'll have the term that is a autotroph. So simply from your lower class onwards, you have been studying the same. That is photosynthesis is the process by which autotrophs prepare their food with the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to prepare oxygen and simple sugars. Okay, using chlorophyll. Okay, that's actually the definition which you have been following from the lower class onwards. So as you grow up, you have to change the definition, not the meaning of the definition. You have to change modify the way you will convey the idea to others. That is, photosynthesis is a physiochemical process. Okay, photosynthesis is actually a physiochemical process by which the photosynthetic organism, what do you call the photosynthetic organism? That is the autotrophs. So the photosynthetic organisms convert light energy into chemical energy in the form of NADPH and ATP. Okay. So physiochemical process in which the photosynthetic autotrophic organism, they convert light energy into chemical energy in the form of ATP or NADPH. Yes, ATP will be a familiar term for everybody. NADPH also you might have studied in your class 10, but you might have not studied about the usage of NADPH. Although you have studied about ATP as the energy currency of the cell. So we will study about this NADPH as well as about the ATP during the carbon fixation or during the C3, C4 and the C2 cycle. So simply you have to study here, that is NADPH and ATP are the final products of photosynthesis. Okay. Okay, the next topic, photosynthesis on the basis of the generation of oxygen. You know that the final product of photosynthesis is the generation of oxygen. So on the generation of oxygen, organisms can be of two types, that is oxygenic and anoxygenic. You know the difference between the both. That is oxygenic means they will evolve, they will undergo photosynthesis and you will get oxygen as the final product. Whereas during anoxygenic, you will never get oxygen or O2 molecule, you will never get as the final product. Instead, you will get hydrogen sulfide, or you will get sulfur dioxide or some compounds or sulfur. You'll get something about that. Okay. So two types, oxygenic and anoxygenic. That is oxygenic photosynthetic autotrophs or photosynthetic organisms includes eukaryotes as well as certain prokaryotes. An example of an oxygenic photosynthetic autotrophic bacteria is the cyanobacteria. That is, cyanobacteria will undergo photosynthesis and they will release oxygen. They will help to release oxygen. Clear? Similarly, all plants, that is all green plants and photosynthetic protista group also comes under the eukaryotic oxygenic photosynthetic organism. Whereas in the process of anoxygenic photosynthetic organism, you will have the prokaryotes where you will see about the green and purple sulfur bacteria. Green sulfur bacteria or green and purple sulfur bacteria, or green sulfur bacteria you can add over there. So guys, in oxygenic photosynthesis, that is a type of photosynthesis that takes place in the plants, you will see the evolution of oxygen, whereas in anoxygenic, you will never see the evolution of oxygen. Instead, you will have the evolution of a sulfur compound. Okay, a sulfur oxide. It can be sulfur trioxide, sulfur dioxide, depends. Okay, a sulfur oxide or sulfur compound will be evolved in an anoxygenic photosynthetic organism. Now we have to study, listen very carefully, you have to study the name of the scientist. You have to study about some experimental material that he used for his experiment, if there is any. Okay, specifically telling if there is any, you have to study about the experimental material that he have used for his early experiment, name of the scientist, and what was the conclusion that he have gave, or what was the record that he have reported. Clear? So let's discuss the very first experiment. This is a very common diagram and you know about this diagram. That is, this is the Priestley's experiment, bell jar experiment by Joseph Priestley. So let's discuss what is the experiment and then let's come back to the lecture. So this is an experiment which is conducted by Joseph Priestley. You know about Joseph Priestley. He was the person who discovered oxygen. So from there itself, he might have done something that might be related with the oxygen. Yes, absolutely. Joseph Priestley told that air is an essential component for photosynthesis and growth of the plants. Similarly, in the same way, sometimes a statement will be given and you will be asked to attend or asked to write who proposed this particular thing or who told that air is essential for photosynthesis. Air is essential for photosynthesis. Okay. So Joseph Priestley, he concluded that air is very much essential for photosynthesis and the growth of the plant. Let me brief his experiment for everyone. That is, he took out a candle, he took out a rat, a bell jar, and a plant. In the first candle, or look at the diagram number A, let me zoom that for you so that the diagram will be perfectly fine and clear for everyone. So this is the diagram on the screen. Look at diagram number A. He turned down he put a burning candle along with a live mice. Okay, he put out a live mice and he put out a burning candle. Okay, and finally what happened? The rat died along with what? Extinguished the candle as well. Why? Because there is no oxygen inside that. Okay, the burning candle also releases carbon dioxide. The rat exhale carbon dioxide. So finally, there is no oxygen inside that and the bell jar inside just get filled up. Guys, this entire bell jar is going to get filled with only a single gas, that is the carbon dioxide, and finally that led to the death of the mice. Coming to the experiment number 3, he put out a burning candle, a live mice, and also he posted a plant over there. That is, which was the plant that he used? He kept a mint plant. Okay, please do write it down. He used a mint plant in his experiment. Okay, and what was the final conclusion over there? Neither the candle got extinguished. The candle still continues to get burnt. Along with, you will have the rat also is alive in this case. Why? Because the burning candle will always releases carbon dioxide gas. The mice will exhale what? Carbon dioxide gas. Okay. The jar is not going to get filled with carbon dioxide. Why? Because both these carbon dioxide are going to be taken by this particular plant. And this plant is going to release oxygen which is very essential for the mice for breathing in or for inhalation, and also the oxygen which helps the candle to continue burning without getting it extinguished. So those are the two reasons. So that was a final conclusion that Joseph Priestley came from his experiment. Let's have a discussion about the experiment. Firstly, a burning candle and a rat were kept together in a single bell jar. You know the reason. The burning candle releases carbon dioxide and the rat also releases carbon dioxide. So the bell jar will get completely filled with carbon dioxide and there won't be oxygen for neither the candle to continue burning or the rat to get alive. So both of them, the experiment is not successful. But after some time, the candle got extinguished and the rat died. For the second time, what he did was, yes, a burning candle along with a green plant. Okay. If you read some Pradeep or something there, they might have mentioned you about the mint is the plant that he used for his experiment. And what was the conclusion? You have to study the statement by heart. Plants restore to the air whatever. Plants restore to the air whatever breathing animal and the burning candle remove. So whatever is the particular gas or the air that have been given out by the burning candle and the breathing animal is actually restored, or whatever is needed by these two organisms. That is, this needs oxygen, this needs oxygen. So that particular gas is actually restored by the plant. That particular gas is getting to be restored by the plant. So that is actually Joseph Priestley's experiment. So what was his experiment? Plants is going to get restore the air, whatever the breathing animals and burning candle removes. Clear? That was the very first experiment which you have to study in this chapter. Okay. Okay. So let's move anyway. The next experiment number 2. The first one was a bell jar experiment. You can call it as Joseph Priestley's experiments or you can call it. Okay. And now it is the half-leaf experiment. The term is not mentioned in your NCERT, so please do take it down. It is going to be called as the half-leaf experiment. H-A-L-F, half-leaf. The same meaning which the term suggests, that is half part of the leaf is going to prove this experiment. And what is the importance of the experiment? You are going to prove that carbon dioxide is an essential commodity or essential component for photosynthesis is what you are going to get it proved by this experiment. Okay, first of all, let me show you the diagram for that. Then let's come back to the session or to the slide. So this is a diagram. Look, guys, this is a leaf. Okay, this is the leaf of a plant, and half of that leaf is kept inside this particular bell jar, or this, not bell jar, inside this particular beaker, and half part of the same leaf is kept above, that is supposed to the air. And inside this particular bottle, you will keep the KOH pellets or KOH granules or KOH solution. Why? In order to get, what is the function of KOH? You have studied in your 10th standard. It absorbs or removes carbon dioxide. The KOH solution absorbs, or KOH pellets absorbs carbon dioxide. So if KOH is kept inside the bottle and the bottle is actually closed with the help of a split cork, then you can come to the conclusion that inside the particular bottle, there is no presence of carbon dioxide. That is, carbon dioxide is completely absorbed by the KOH pellets. As I have already told you, this is the name of the experiment, half-leaf experiment, and that was proposed by Moll. So Moll's half-leaf experiment. Finally, what is the conclusion is that those portions that have been kept inside the particular bottle, there is no carbon dioxide. So there is no carbon dioxide. So there is no starch formation, or there are no photosynthesis have occurred. But the particular part of the leaf that have been subjected to the air, actually turns blue-black in color. What is the blue-black color? Indicates their starch has been formed. So that indicates the presence of starch. You might have done your experiments in your biology laboratory. That is a blue-black color is actually shown by the starch formation. So that is the small experiment, or Moll's half-leaf experiment, or the experiment which is necessary for the carbon dioxide essentiality. So for this experiment, you have to take out a healthy potted plant, a wide-mouthed glass bottle with a split cork potassium hydroxide solution. So I have told you what is essential, or what is the role of this potassium hydroxide. It is actually necessary for absorbing the carbon dioxide. And finally, a starch solution as well. Take a healthy potted plant and keep it in the dark room for 2 or 3 days to ensure the leaves are free from starch. In a wide-mouthed glass bottle, 10 to 15 ml of potassium hydroxide solution has been added. Okay. And what is this particular observation? The half part of the leaf, that has been inside the glass bottle containing KOH solution did not show any color change. Very important. Did not show any kind of color change. But the other part that has been exposed to the surrounding become dark brown due to the presence of starch. So what was the conclusion that of this experiment? Carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. So for the same amount of water, chloroplast and sunlight, that is chloroplast, you will have the chlorophyll. Okay, that is why they have included like chloroplast over there. Inside this chloroplast, you will see the chlorophyll. So a same amount or necessary amount of water will be needed, chlorophyll must be needed, and sunlight must also be needed along with carbon dioxide is also necessary in the same amount for a plant to undergo photosynthesis. Clear? So this is the Moll's half-leaf experiment. Next, we are going to step into a few small experiments. Okay, let's have a quick idea. In all photosynthetic experiment, an outline was drawn by the scientists. They concluded that light is essential for photosynthesis. So one scientist came and concluded that light is essential for photosynthesis. Certain scientists came and concluded that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Some came and told that water is essential for photosynthesis. Certain people came and told that glucose will be actually prepared by using carbon dioxide, water, and chlorophyll. Certain people came and told that water molecule are the hydrogen donor and the oxygen molecule. That is, guys, actually by the process of photosynthesis, oxygen molecules are evolved, right? So certain scientists told that this oxygen molecule is actually coming from water and not from carbon dioxide. And they have done experiments to prove that as well. Clear? So let's anyway move with the very first person again. That is Jan Eggenshaus. So firstly, you will feel difficulty in studying or by hearting the name. As you do the questions, you will get to know what are their contributions. So read. Okay, I'll create a table and I'll provide the table also for you along with the scientists and their contributions. Okay, so first one is a Jan Eggenshaus. He conducted an experiment using the same setup that of Priestley, but under two different conditions. Priestley just conducted the experiments using a burning candle in either dark or light. He doesn't specify that at all. But Jan Eggenshaus just took out the same materials or same setup of Priestley and he conducted the experiments in two different conditions. First, he conducted in the dark condition in the complete absence of light. Second, he conducted it in the light condition in the presence of sunlight. And what was its conclusion, guys? He concluded that presence of sunlight is an essential product for plants. And he also added the statement given by Joseph Priestley to refresh the air that was polluted by the candle and the rat. So only if sunlight is there, plants will restore the air. What the burning candle and the breathing animals turn off. Okay? Done. So we have studied 3 experiments. What was the first experiment? Joseph Priestley, he told that plants actually restore a particular product. He doesn't specify because he discovered oxygen after that only. So he told that plants is actually disclosing or plants is actually releasing something or it is actually refreshing the particular air that have been polluted by the breathing cat or rat as well as the burning candle. After that came Moll's half-leaf experiment. There he proved that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Third one was a Jan Eggenshaus. He came and conducted the same set of experiments done by Priestley, but he took the experiment firstly in the dark condition, second in the light condition, and he came to a final conclusion that light is essential for photosynthesis. In the presence of light, only plants can produce oxygen or plants can restore the air that have been polluted by the candle and the rat. Next, guys, this scientist is not given in the NCERT, but just for your information, I have included. You can just add a glance at that. But whenever you are preparing for your NEET exam, you have to just have a look at the name of the scientists that have been included in the NCERT only. Okay, you don't need to study about any other scientists coming from outside. Okay, that is in Pradeep's, in Goyal, in Evergreen, all those different publications, Diksha publications and all. You will learn about different. This is not at all the experiments. This is your NCERT text just grabs around only a very small circle of scientists, but it's a very large one. Okay, you just have to focus only on those people who have contributed to photosynthesis and that have been mentioned in your NCERT. So this is not in your NCERT, but just have a look on that. So he came to the conclusion that plants absorb carbon dioxide and releases oxygen during photosynthesis. Then Joseph Priestley also gave the same statement that plants will absorb the carbon dioxide, but he doesn't specify what was that gases. He just told that plants will absorb a gas, plants will release a gas, plants will absorb the polluted one and will release a fresh one again. So Jean Senibier just came and he proposed that plants absorb carbon dioxide and they will release oxygen during the process of photosynthesis. So today's class will only be, I'll be speaking about the name of the scientist, I'll be telling their contribution. If there is any kind of experimental materials have been used, I'll be talking about that experimental materials as well. Nothing more or less in today's session. It's a very short session. I'll provide the question in the group as well after this, along with the PDF of the session. Okay. Next is a Julius Robert Mayer. This is not again in your NCERT. This is again out of NCERT. But just sometimes you might have doubt. As I told you, right? Every part of the photosynthesis definition have been cleared with the help of various experiments. So this person, that is Julius Robert Mayer, he came forth and he demonstrated that plants will use up light energy and will convert that into chemical energy. So who was the person who told that light energy is converted into chemical energy during the process of photosynthesis? It was by Julius Robert Mayer. This is a very important one which have been in your NCERT, that is about the contribution by Julius von Sack. You have studied about this Julius von Sack in the chapter Mineral Nutrition as well, who was a person who put forth the process of hydroponics, okay? Okay. So about the hydroponics technique, there we have studied, and I told you will study about the scientist in photosynthesis. So he revealed that glucose was produced by the plants. We just prepared a sugar, but we were not be able to identify what was the sugar. But Julius von Sack identified that sugar as C6H12O6, or that was glucose. C6H12O6 was the one that have been produced by the plants. He performed an experiment in 1854 and he showed that glucose is produced during the growth of the plant. And glucose is stored in the form of starch, and these green pigments called chlorophyll are stored in specialized plant cell. So he proposed so many things. He told that he proposed hydroponic techniques in mineral nutrition. We have studied about that. Right now, we have to study that glucose is produced during the growth of the plant. He told that glucose is stored in plants in the form of starch, and there are certain green pigments, that is actually what chlorophyll, and those green colored pigments called chlorophyll are stored inside specialized compartments inside a plant cell. Okay? Okay, everyone? Yes. Next one is the T.W. Engelmann. This is again in the NCERT about Jean Senibier, and also about the Robert Mayer has not been mentioned in the NCERT. Rest everybody that we are going to discuss is mentioned in the NCERT. Okay. So T.W. Engelmann discovered the role of chlorophylls. How is actually chlorophyll helping in the process of photosynthesis? And he used an experimental material that is a cladophora, which is actually coming under chlorophyceae or green algae. So guys, this was previously a question that they have asked who discovered about the role of chlorophyll using a green algae. That was T.W. Engelmann. Question number 1. Question number 2. They can twist you by asking the question. You will study that his experimental material was cladophora. That you will study. But the question which will be coming for the NEET exam will be like the experimental material that T.W. Engelmann used to prove the role of chlorophylls in photosynthesis was option A, green algae, option B, red algae, option B, brown algae, option C, reddish brown algae. They can give you like that options, and you have to choose out that is cladophora. You have to understand that cladophora is a green algae. So what was this experiment? He carried out an experiment using a prism and split the light into several spectra. Okay, so guys, he used up a spectrum. So this is a spectrum. In your 10th standard, you might have done this experiment as well, right? So he passed white light through that, and finally he split up into 7 different components. And he got it in a screen. Okay, he got all the 7 colors in a screen. In this spectrum, he illuminated the green algae or cladophora. Okay, in that particular screen, he illuminated what? This green algae. In this particular screen, he illuminated with a green algae which was placed in a suspension of aerobic bacteria. What is aerobic bacteria? It requires oxygen, right? Yes. And using this bacteria, he detected where are all oxygen is produced. And he came to the conclusion that in this particular spectrum, he observed that in the area of red and, oh my God, in the area of red as well as in the blue light area, most of the bacteria were accumulated. So most of the bacteria were accumulated in the blue and red region, whereas in the middle, that is the bacteria have been accumulated in the red and blue region. Whereas here also small accumulation only. Clear? And what he also proposed, the empirical equation of photosynthesis. Empirical equation, that is not a balance. You might have studied in the chapter, that is small concept about empirical formula and molecular formula about this. So this is actually, he told it's a sugar, but he cannot find out that was a sugar, but who gave that? Julius Wansack told that glucose is. So a particular component, that is N, should be multiplied with this to get the final product. Okay, so what was the empirical equation? They'll ask you to balance the same as well. Carbon dioxide plus carbon dioxide. 1 second, guys. Yes. Carbon dioxide plus water. Oh my God. 1 second. Yes. Carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light, you will get a empirical equation, CH2O plus oxygen is evolved. Okay, so that was actually given by T.W. Engelmann. I will show you that. This is the Engelmann's experiment. This is the green algae Cladophora, just looking like Spirogyra, right? And he also poured a suspension of aerobic bacteria. He observed that inside the blue region and in the red region, he observed the maximum suspension of the bacteria. Maximum suspension or photosynthesis will maximum takes place in blue light and in the red light. You might be thinking it may be in the green light, or it might be in the white light, or it might be in the yellow light, but it actually maximum taking place, or maximum oxygen evolution is happening inside where blue region and red region. Clear? Yes. Next is the Cornelius Van Niel. So yes, we have only one more slide left out about the Cornelius Van Niel. Cornelius Van Niel. Okay. He proposed that using the purple and green sulfur bacteria, he discovered that release of oxygen by the plants is from water and not from carbon dioxide. He gave a generalized equation for that as well. So whatever be this component associated with hydrogen, that will be actually released by the plants during the process of photosynthesis. Okay. And for that, he took what? He took purple sulfur bacteria. Okay. Purple sulfur bacteria. Oh my God, I forgot. Yes. To write the equation over there. No issues. Okay. He used purple and green sulfur bacteria. Suppose for purple sulfur, they will be producing H2S plus carbon dioxide. You will get the final product as what? 2S. Clear? So he concluded that he observed the presence of sulfur. Similarly, he have to observe oxygen. When you take water over here, you will get oxygen over here. So that was actually done. Okay. So Cornelius Van Niel, using two green and purple sulfur bacteria, he found out that the oxygen that have been released during the process of photosynthesis will come out from that is from water and not from where? And not from carbon dioxide. And he gave the final equation of photosynthesis as well. So he told the final equation 6CO2 plus 12H2O in the presence of light chlorophyll, you'll get C6H12O6 plus 6H2O plus 6O2. It was Cornelius Van Niel who gave the final modified form of equation of photosynthesis. That's all about today's super amazing, duper amazing class. And super amazing and duper amazing class about photosynthesis in higher plants. And today's class is finished. Tomorrow, we will be discussing about lecture number 2 about the chloroplast, action and absorption spectrum, and the pigment systems are the 3 important topics that we will be discussing in the next class. Okay, so wait for the second part of this chapter. A very important topic we have discussed, right? 24% of the weightage from this pigment area. So stay tuned for the class, everyone. Bye-bye, guys. See you in the next class with yet another super amazing session. Bye. And don't forget, on December 3rd, you will have the test, score booster test, transport in plants, and mineral nutrition. Bye-bye, everyone.